On this podcast, we're going to talk to Sheila Lowe, who is a handwriting analyst. And if you missed her analysis of our handwriting on our morning show, we've added it to the end of this podcast.
You're listening to Mix Off Air with Duffy Moon, Amber Kay, Camper Kyle, and Kelsey Lorenz. And now, the Mix Mornings Post Show.
Yeah, it's the Mix Off Air podcast. Kelsey Lorenz, Amber Kay, Camper Kyle, and special guest on the phone with us right now, Sheila Lowe. How you doing there, Sheila?
I'm doing great, thank you.
No, you're welcome. You're welcome. Thank you for being with us. Sheila Lowe is best-selling author, handwriting expert. She's got herself a Bachelor of Science, Master's of Science and Psychology, and she's an author of the Claudia Rose Mystery Series. She's also author of The Handwriting of the Famous and Infamous, Complete Idiot's Guide to Handwriting Analysis, and you helped write a handwriting analyzer software, which is kind of impressive, I gotta say.
That's been out since the 1990s, and it's still, people use it all over the world. It's so that you can do an analysis yourself.
That's amazing. That is truly amazing.
I would think for bosses, like hiring people, that would be a really good asset.
Or if dating people.
Yeah.
That's what people come to me for.
Wow. Nice.
That is.
That's really cool. So we had Sheila on the show, on the morning show, kind of analyzing our handwriting. We had sent her a paragraph from each of us with our signature, and it was all spot on.
Yeah.
And what spurred this was next week is a National Handwriting Day. Correct, Sheila?
Yeah, it's actually, yes, and International Handwriting Week.
Oh, cool. And so, I don't actually know much about the day or what caused that to be, but I'm sure you do, right?
I can tell you about that, yes.
Please do. Please do.
Thank you.
Well, there's a reason why it was chosen. January 23rd was chosen in the late 1980s by the Writing Instrument Manufacturers Association for National Handwriting Day. And that's because it was John Hancock's birthday. And, John Hancock was the guy who put his big, bold signature on the bottom of the Declaration of Independence.
Yeah.
Let me get your Hancock.
He supposedly said that he wrote it that way because he wanted King George to be able to read it without his spectacles.
Oh, okay.
Birthday. So that's National Handwriting Day. And we use it to draw attention to handwriting because back in around 2010, I think, the Common Core curriculum came in, and so that tells the schools what to put in their curriculum, and it left out handwriting training for the first time. So schools just kind of let that go and stopped teaching cursive handwriting.
Oh.
I will say my kids go to a very small rural school. So I think that my son has like 17 kids in his grade, and they still teach cursive.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Well, now, a lot of states just let it go, but now they've recognized what a poor decision that was for a bunch of reasons. Not the least of which is current research shows that the movements that they make with their hand when they're learning how to do cursive has an effect on the young brain.
Oh.
It's really important. And there's lots of other reasons, too. All through history, people who were able to read and write were on a higher social strata.
Right.
And so today, kids cannot read. Many kids cannot read. Like, grandma sends them a birthday card and writes in it, and they don't know what it says.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Yep, guilty as charged over here.
That's exactly what I was thinking of.
Yeah.
My mom would make me write out checks. Like if she was making just kind of going to the grocery store and everything, she would actually make me write it out, and I had to use cursive. So good, Marietta. Good job.
Good. Yeah, well, I am president of an organization, a nonprofit called the American Handwriting Analysis Foundation. And when we found out what was going on, we formed a committee called Campaign for Cursive. And it has its own website, cursiveiscool.com. And on January 23rd, National Handwriting Day, that kicks off our annual cursive contest for elementary school kids.
Uh-huh.
Anybody's welcome to go there and, download the entry forms. And it's in Canada, too.
Oh, nice.
That is really cool.
I have a quick question because my husband, he hates cursive. He writes in print. And he writes a lot of times, like, because he's a land surveyor and a drafter. And so whenever he does his stuff, they're supposed to, write and print in a very certain way. And so he hates when I write in cursive. Like, he doesn't like the way it looks. And he is very strict about using print. Like, when you're analyzing someone's handwriting, is there something to be said about someone who does all print versus someone who does all cursive or a mixture of cursive and print?
Absolutely, and there are no generalities. You have to see. There's two kinds of handwriting analysis, and one of them is called trait stroke, where they assign a personality trait name to each letter and pieces of letter. Like they'll say, if you cross your T's up high, it means that you have high goals. Okay, so if you do that kind of analysis, you end up with a laundry list of traits, which is not very useful. However, if you use what's called Gestalt handwriting analysis, you're looking at the way the writing is laid out on the paper, the space between the letters and the words and the lines and the margins and all of that, and the form of the writing, which is the style, whether it's print or cursive or whatever, and a whole bunch of other things like the rhythm and the speed and the pressure and thousands of variables. So if you're looking at all those things, you doesn't matter what style they write in or what language. It could be, Chinese or Arabic or Hebrew or anything. You don't have to be able to read the language to analyze it if you understand the principles of space, form, and movement. So, yes, people who choose to print have a certain type of personality, and whatever type printing. It sounds like your husband probably does block printing, which, those as a generality, those people are much harder to get to know. Even after years and years, it's like peeling off the layers of an onion.
Peeling the layers.
That is true. We've been married a long time. And that reminds me of Kelsey. When she handed over her writing sample to me, I'm not going to lie, it scared me. Hey, because I was like, wow. I was like, everything goes in different directions. They're all different sizes. Some are close together. Some are far apart. It was so chaotic. And whenever you were telling us on the show earlier, giving our, analysis, you said hers was hard to do in that short of a time. Was there anything you didn't get to say about her sample?
Well, nothing that I'd say in public.
So basically, Kelsey, you might be an attention hoe.
It's just the four of us,
No. There isn't any huge secret about it. The things that you mentioned, there's a lot of variability in it. There's changeable size and slants and all that. And that shows a lot of changing emotions. An emotional person.
Yeah.
But she said in her sample that she hadn't written anything on paper in a while. So, we should give her some slack and let her practice.
Okay, she was lying because she's our news director. She goes to all the meetings and stuff, and she takes notes.
But they're everywhere.
Oh, okay.
No, that's pretty funny. I did just up my Zoloft, so that's awesome. True story.
Oh my gosh. Okay, so anything else about handwriting you think we should know?
Well, I would like to say, I mentioned the American Handwriting Analysis Foundation, and a couple of years ago we published a white paper on why it's important to continue to teach handwriting, and anybody who is interested in that can download a free copy, and the website is ahafhandwriting.org/publications. And it's translated into 7 languages, so anybody can read it.
Nice.
Well, so when I went to college once for about a semester, and it just wasn't my thing. But when I did go there,
he had a hard time building relationships with the students. Sitting in a classroom with people.
Way to throw that in there, Amber. I went in for a what do you call that thing where your focus is? Your
degree.
Your degree. Yep. Thank you. I went in for a degree in psychology because I've always liked understanding how people think and how they draw the conclusions they do.
Like, he even tries to tell us how we're thinking, even though he only went for a semester.
But my question to you would be, what got you interested, specifically in the handwriting aspect of psychology of people?
Well, long before you were born, in 1967, I was in high school, I was a senior in high school, and my boyfriend's mother had read a book about handwriting analysis, and she told me all about mine, just like I did to you today.
Yeah.
And I was like blown away that somebody could understand me like that. So I started reading about it for about 10 years on my own, and then I started taking courses. And
Wow.
so that came way before I studied psychology.
Wow.
That is super cool.
Yeah, I mean, it is amazing, the analysis that you gave us, because they were all pretty
Yeah,
spot on.
I am an underachiever. I was a comm major, man. No,
We just had a whole conversation the other day about, I was telling Kelsey to aspire more than just to get married and stay at home and let him work. Remember?
yeah. That wasn't it. He's rich, Sheila.
You know, handwriting tells a lot about you, obviously, but it can't tell everything. I've heard beginning handwriting analysts go around saying, I could tell everything about you from your handwriting. But that is definitely not true. But, yeah, it shows how you think, how you are with other people, the state of your ego, your drives, and all that kind of thing.
What did it say about Kyle's ego?
Yeah, we need to know that one.
Oh, shall we talk about that?
Yes, please. Yes.
It needs some help.
Oh,
really?
wow,
So he's
really?
overcompensating then.
Definitely.
Is it because he?
Oh boy.
Is it because he wrote like he was 5 and skipped a line in between each one?
Oh.
I thought that was funny.
Bless you.
I thought it was funny.
He's a very smart guy.
Oh, why? Thank you.
Yeah.
See, I'll take it. I won't.
Look
I
at
won't
the whole
argue.
picture.
What was that?
You have to look at the whole picture, not.
You're
not
right.
Just, this means that.
Yeah, Amber thought I was a serial killer until she looked up serial killer.
And then their writing was really nice, and I was like, oh.
Oh,
I guess she's fine.
you know, one of my books, which is called Advanced Studies in Handwriting Psychology, has a whole chapter on serial killers and their handwriting. You might want to look at it.
I will.
Are you telling me that I need to look at it? Like, is there something about these two that I need to look?
Hey, Amber, you should really take care of yourself, honey.
You know why serial killers' handwriting looks very quote unquote normal? I think because there's two kinds of serial killers according to the FBI. There's organized and disorganized, and the disorganized ones are like they're mentally ill, and so we won't even cover them. But the organized ones, their handwriting looks pretty normal, and that's because they live among us and they do their thing, and we accept, like Ted Bundy. He worked on a suicide hotline.
Yeah.
So
Well, and they're sociopaths, right? So they try to mimic behavior, so they probably pay more attention to their handwriting than the average person.
Well, there's always some red flags for danger. And I will tell you my own tragedy. In 2000, my daughter, who was 27 at the time, brought home the handwriting of her new boyfriend, who was a federal agent. And, that's what you do. Your mom is a handwriting expert.
Right.
What's the show? And I said, well, there was some really concerning red flags in it. And the three of us talked about it. And I said to him, because handwriting has some physiological markers in it, and I noticed something, and I said, have you had a blow to your head? And he said, yes, I was hit in the head on the job so hard I was almost blinded. Anyway, bottom line, I talked to them about the real big problems that were, likely between them. And she never listened to me before. And she didn't listen. And within a year, he had killed her and himself.
Oh, my God.
So
man.
I could not look at that handwriting and say he's going to be a killer. But
Right.
I could see, if you see a red flag, you've got to pay attention to it.
Right.
Right.
I agree.
And he had never abused her. He never hit her or anything.
Wow.
But his handwriting showed the problem, the potential for explosive behavior.
Right. So did you see any red flags in any of ours? Just wondering.
No.
Okay.
No, not like that.
So I'm curious because you just pointed out, you just said that the red flags that were in his handwriting, showed that there could be that explosive personality. And so what I've noticed because I've just recently gone back over some of my old writings, and my handwriting has the same style to it, but it gets better as I grow older, obviously. And so how much of handwriting is just stuff that we trained into our brains as we were growing up versus how much of it is indicative of our personality as we are growing up. Does that make sense?
Yes, that is an excellent
Nature
question.
versus nurture in handwriting.
Yeah. Well, when you go to school, you learn a certain copybook style, and everybody in the classroom learns the same style, right?
Right.
But look at their handwriting, 5, 10, 15, 20 years later, it's not going to be the same
Right.
As that style. If it is, now there are some people, like people who go to Catholic school, for instance, who write a lot more similar to each other, but that's a certain personality style. Your handwriting changes as you grow and change, and you have different experiences. It's how you react to your experiences and what they do in your brain they come out onto the paper.
Yeah. Huh. That's fascinating.
Your handwriting is likely to change over time and continue to change.
Right.
Yeah. Thank you for sharing your personal story, by the way, and sorry
definitely.
for your loss. I didn't want to just gloss over that. But this is very fascinating, and I'm sure everyone listening is now, piqued their interest.
Yeah.
And you do have books out there that people can get, and it'd be a fun hobby. I think it'd be like a useful hobby and interesting. If they want to get your books on this, what do they need to do?
Well, my books are all on Amazon. They can, search on my name, or they can go to ClaudiaRoseSeries.com and see what the books are, and then buy them on Amazon.
Right.
And several of the mystery series are on audiobook too.
Awesome, because you have nonfiction and fiction, and so the name is Sheila Lowe, SHEILALOWE, like Rob Lowe, .com, or on Amazon, search Sheila Lowe.
Right. Thank you.
All right. Well, thank you so much.
Yes, thank you.
Fascinating.
It really,
to me.
I think I might go get. I'm gonna start on your fictional ones because I do love a good murder mystery.
I'm gonna get there was like a handwriting for dummies one.
Yeah,
I think.
that's what I saw.
Yeah.
I need that one.
It was the Complete Idiot's Guide to Handwriting Analysis.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, but reading between the lines replaced that book.
Oh, it
okay.
did? Okay, so get the
That's
reading
wonderful.
between them.
Gotcha.
Okay,
Gotcha.
awesome. I think this would be very useful. And Kyle, I can see you now with your future dates asking them to write out paragraphs.
And I'll be sending it to you, Sheila. Awesome. Well, thank you very much. And thank you for listening. You can catch us on the Mix Off Air, or Mix 107.5, Mix Mornings every weekday from 6 to 10. And we'll see you next time. Oh, but before you go, here's what Sheila had to say about our handwriting.
All right, we're going to start with you, Kyle. And
All right.
Just a little thumbnail sketch.
Okay.
Yeah, we'll get more into it on our podcast.
Sure.
Well, all signs to the contrary. Kyle is the real introvert of the group. You have a very private self, and you're sensitive, and because you feel most comfortable in what I would call the realm of the mind, you spend a lot of time in your head. Now, you wrote in your sample that your favorite animal is the bald eagle, but even if you hadn't said that, I would have said that I wouldn't be surprised to find that you were more at home with animals than people. You could be a little shy and reluctant to ask for help, so you're likely to make few demands, and you hope that other people won't make a lot of demands on you.
Yeah, definitely.
That makes life easier. And relationships could be too demanding, and the emotions are just too big to bother with most of the time.
Sheila, I was just about to ask if you could tell if he's still single or not.
Wow.
And Sheila, what you don't know is that Kyle lives alone in a camper. And he often plays chess against himself. So
I'm not surprised.
That is so amazing. That really is amazing. Wow.
Nice. Okay. So, now who's next?
And I didn't Google you.
That's okay.
Purely from your handwriting.
Wow, that is so amazing. Well, here, let's go with Kelsey the man next, real quick.
Kelsey. Okay, this is a really complicated personality that is hard to talk about in this setting, when we're just got a minute. But I hate to say this, but I think, Kelsey, you're a little bit of an underachiever.
Oh, man!
You could be something of an enigma, even to yourself, because you're so emotionally complex. And sometimes you get stuck in your feelings when you could be using them to energize your goals and to achieve more. But it's really important for you to be unique. Just being one of the crowd doesn't cut it. You want to be set apart, one of a kind. But You're afraid. Your fear is that because you are unique, nobody's ever really going to be able to understand you. And what you need to do is to believe in your own goodness and to recognize and accept that you already have what you're looking for.
You're right. You're totally right.
I'm scared to hear mine because you're so right about them. I don't know if I want to hear mine.
Well, yeah, let's hear it. What did Amber's handwriting tell you about her?
Amber's handwriting, it says you're smart and focused and goal-oriented, and you get things done by being flexible.
Okay.
And so when problems come up, you find ways to adapt and go around them. You're a very open, direct person who cannot stand a cheater. So you better be honest with her. And this is because you suffered some major disappointment that has left you feeling like you need to protect yourself. But that does not stop you from getting on with it. You're going to go where you want to go. You're the kind of person that knows how to be a good friend. You're not a pushover. But when you care about somebody, you're willing to do anything that you can to help them. You're a really nice person. Oh. Not that the others aren't.
Hers sounds better than mine.
That is, I would say, all very true.